Good day to you. You're welcome to this lecture, English language, and the topic we are continuing with is still the figures of speech. Figures of speech. In English, we use some words, and it's like we are using figures to represent particular impression that you want to create. The other first lecture, we were able to talk about the different types of figures of speech, though these are still limited. There are so many other ones that have evolved over time. But the ones that you can see here, numbered 1 to 14, metaphor, simile, hyperbole, personification, alliteration, onomatopoeia, idiom, allegory, symbolism, synecdoche, rhetorical question, oxymoron. Rhetorical question is 1, so oxymoron should be number 12, euphemism is number 13, while paradox is number 14. So rhetorical question is number 11, 12, and 13, and then 14 is paradox. So for today, the other class we couldn't complete. We were talking about hyperbole and personification. We were talking about hyperbole and personification. So we are continuing today with the same hyperbole and personification, and then we shall be going into what is called the alliteration. So you see symbolism here, oxymoron, hyperbole, and then personification. So we'll take symbolism, oxymoron, and hyperbole and personifications. So when we use symbolism in English, it's part of this figure of speech, symbolism. Symbolism involves the using of an image to create an impression in the mind of the person who is listening or who is reading what we are presenting. So you use the image, you use an image to create an impression in the mind of the person who is reading or who is hearing your speech. Like the dove, you see that the image is always put in some, particularly some churches use it today, the image of the dove, the bird, the dove. It represents peace. It represents peace. So that's what is meant when you see the image of the dove, the dove bird in some images. So it's used, it's like a symbolism. What is used to create the symbol of peace. Like you see some use now will display this kind of hands to say peace, and so many other symbols, like they use a certain image for love. So that kind of image is the kind of thing we call symbolism in English. Then when you want to indicate someone is backing or something is backing, you use the image of a dog or the head of a dog to indicate that that something or that person is backing. When he's saying something, you see them, they will bring out some images now. So you see, I don't know what you call it now, but it's a symbolism. It's in the camera, it's in the phones now. You can put image of a dog to see that person is. It's an insult though, but it is used like that to create an impression that somebody is saying something that you are not in support of, that the person is backing. Then we go into oxymoron. Oxymoron. It combines two words or phrases that seem to be contradictory or mutually exclusive, words that are separate on their own, things that are contradictory, not related, but then you want to use oxymoron, which is a figure of speech, to create an impression in the mind of the reader or the one that is listening or the listener. So the combination of such words creates a tension scene. The combination of such words creates a tension scene or a paradox, conveying a complex idea, something that's not very easy, not very simple, or the words that create adding an emphasis or highlighting a contradiction. That is, there is contradiction. Contradiction is involved. When it comes to oxymoron, contradiction is involved. The words we use to connote that, there is contradiction, there is confusion here somewhere. So thoughtful expressions like bittersweet, when you say something is bittersweet, You are not saying the correct situation. You're saying it's either bitter or it's either sweet. So it's confusing. Then you say act naturally. When somebody is acting, is play acting is not acting normally, but we say act naturally. So that is different. There are two different scenes on its own, two different actions on its own. So when you act separately, and when you are naturally behaving, so when you act naturally, when the word is used, when words are used like that phrase, it says something like oxymoron. Example again is living dead. When you say somebody is a living dead and you are connoting something different, the image will be there for years, like so many projects that are being handled in this nation. Some of the projects are living dead. They are dead. They are there. Nothing is being done on them, and so such images are like living dead. When you say something is dark light, darkness and light, of course, cannot. They are contradictory scenario. So that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. In use of such combination of words to connote an impression in the mind of the listener or the one that is reading, then you are talking about use of oxymoron, which is a figure of speech. So we have done with symbolism and oxymoron. You see that symbolism and oxymoron are part of something that is number 9 here, and then oxymoron is number 12. So hyperbole. We are going to hyperbole and personification now. Hyperbole and personification, number 3 and number 4. Hyperbole describes something in an extremely exaggerated way. So exaggeration is involved. Exaggeration is involved in words used to cause effect or emphasis on the mind of the listener or the reader. So hyperbole, you use words to create extreme exaggerations. Examples: I have repeated myself a million times. I've repeated myself a million times. Is it possible that somebody will say something a million times while you are talking to somebody else when the person is not deaf? So you can use that kind of word to create hyperbole, to create an impression, to exaggerate the situation that's at hand at that point in time. Somebody will say, I'm so hungry, I could eat a lion. I could eat an elephant. I could eat a whole acre of land. I mean, something like that. I'm so hungry, I could eat a lion. I could eat an elephant. I could eat a tiger. An acre of land planted with fruits or trees. So just exaggerating how that person is hungry. It trained, like somebody would say, cat and dog. My package took ever to arrive. The package arrived eventually through maybe the courier system, but then the person is talking about how long it took him or her to receive that package. So when such words are used, they are using hyperbole, which is a figure of speech in English. Then there is personification. Okay, there's an alliteration added. Okay, we'll take that also within the little time that we have. Personification. This is when human qualities are used for animals. Human qualities are used for animals or inanimate objects or for abstract notions. When you use human qualities for animals, inanimate objects, or abstract notions for anything, just to express yourself. Like example, the wind howled. The wind howled. Of course, that's how if you go to the north and you see the wind coming, sometimes you'll be scared. And so such situation is described as the wind howled. Then the snowflakes danced. Of course, I can't picture animals dancing, but then snowflakes danced. Snowflakes danced because of the way the snow was coming down or flaking. So another example is the hyena laughed. Of course, the way the hyena behaves, it's like the hyena was laughing. But it's only human beings that we see that are laughing. Perhaps monkeys laughed too, but who knows? That car is a real beauty. Beauty is used for scenes, images, and particularly human beings. When you remember, we want to talk about ladies, and when somebody now says that car is a real beauty, so that person is using personification. You use qualities that are in human beings to describe a car or a situation or inanimate objects. Then the last one for today is alliteration before we go into the next YouTube recording. Alliteration. This is the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words, closely related words. So you use the same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. Very many examples in this wise, particularly like here, Bola boils the bones. Bola boils the bones. What's she going to do with the bones when she boils it? But to create an impression that, look, this is an alliteration. Secondly, Biola baked beans in a basket. That was just an added phrase, in a basket. Biola baked beans. You want to use a particular words, the same sound, to go on together. C. Williams wants warm water or weather. Williams wants warm water or weather. So that's an alliteration. Then the last example we are going to give for today is Sally sold seashells by seaside some time ago. Sally sold seashells by seaside sometimes ago. So when such words are used or sounds that are used that go on like repeating itself, that's called an alliteration. So thank you for listening for today. If you like this, please like and then share with some of your friends. Like we've been talking about figures of speech. And for this particular lecture season or lecture hour, we've talked about symbolism, oxymoron, hyperbole, personification, and alliteration. These are 5 of them. By the next class we shall be talking about onomatopoeia, idiom, and then we'll be taking on allegory and symbolism. 4 at a point in time. Then we'll come to the rest. And some other ones have been added, which will be put up in the next session that we are going to have. Thank you for listening for today. I pray that it's well with you. Take good care of yourself. Thank you.